down to detention and being prosecuted yet again for a return to Iraq, a return to torture, and a return to execution. Today marks the 1,000th day of Omar's detention, 1,000 days in a cell away from his wife and children, 1,000 days of falsely being called a terrorist, and 1,000 days of fear, nightmares, every night of being returned to torture and death. About 20 days ago, our federal judge agreed with us that Omar had been falsely accused of terrorism, falsely accused of murder, falsely accused of belonging to ISIS. And he held under a really, really tough standard for us that we had obliterated the U.S. government's evidence of all those things. And what that means is that their case was completely based on false witnesses. And these were false witnesses that claimed, well, what turned out to be pretty easily disprovable. They claimed that Omar was in Iraq in summer of 2014. They claimed that Omar was an ISIS commander, leading a terrorist hit squad, taking over his hometown, and murdering in a hail of bullets a local policeman. The thing was, Omar was really 600 miles away, living quietly in Turkey as a refugee, leading his life. And the U.S. government counted on a lot of things in the extradition case. And it counted on asking our court simply to assume that what they were saying was true and sending Omar back. And our judge refused to do that. And thank goodness. So now Omar will not be extradited on these false claims of murder and terrorism. But he's still in custody. 20 extra days. Day 1,000, right here. Those liars in Iraq lied about him being an ISIS. They made him out to be the financial commander of ISIS, a military commander, a prolific maker of IEDs. Everything in the book they threw at him. And the U.S. government gobbled it up. It told the U.S. government what it wanted to hear at a time when they wanted to kick out refugees and lower the refugee cap. And so instead of using even a tiny bit of suspicion, of trust that the prior government, the prior administration wouldn't let a known ISIS commander in, the U.S. government just went after Omar, 100%. We could always tell these were lies. The question is, why couldn't they tell they were lies? And that raises one of two interesting points. Either the U.S. government still believes this, which is really troubling given the facts, or they don't, and they're willing to keep going ahead with this anyway. We'll find out on Thursday what happens as Omar's immigration case starts. What we're asking for is that he immediately be released so that he can go home and be with his lovely family, be back with them after 1,000 days, be back with them to celebrate the end of Ramadan and fight his immigration case from here in Sacramento. And we so much appreciate that this community has wrapped him up in support, in an embrace, in saying that he matters. And we hope that the U.S. government will hear that too. Next, I'd like to introduce Siobhan Waldron, Omar's immigration attorney.
Hello, my name is Siobhan Waldron, and I'm a managing attorney at Immigrant Legal Defense. Immigrant Legal Defense represents Omar in his pending immigration court proceedings. We demand that ICE release Omar now. The paperwork from his initial processing by ICE indicates that he is being detained because he is considered a threat to public safety and is also of the highest priority for deportation due to national security concerns. But just as Rachelle explained, even though a federal judge has already denied Omar's extradition because the government's case and the chain of events that they presented were just simply not plausible, ICE continues to allege that Omar is a threat to public safety and national security. But on what basis? Their assertion is ludicrous. The facts are clear. We don't know why they're doing this, and we demand answers. But above all, we demand that Omar be released now, today, so he can return home to his family, so he can celebrate the end of Ramadan with his family and community. He has been unjustly incarcerated, separated from his family and community for 1,000 days. Today marks 1,000 days, nearly 3 years. And this is absolutely unacceptable. His continued detention is egregious in light of the federal court's decision and all of the evidence presented. ICE has provided no information or evidence as to why they still believe that he may be a threat to public safety or national security. Because there is none. The evidence has been presented and it has been thrown out by a federal court. We demand answers. Why is Omar detained? We have filed a release request with ICE, asking that it review Omar's case in light of the federal court decision and also in light of their own priorities for enforcement and removal. ICE must release Omar immediately. High-level Biden administration officials have published memos detailing who is to be considered an immigration enforcement priority at this time. These memos allegedly seek to limit the people that ICE targets and detains. But Omar's case is a prime example of, once again, ICE not following their own policies and ICE basically doing as it pleases with no accountability. But we demand accountability and we will not stop. We must hold ICE officials accountable and also the Biden administration officials that allow this to continue in the shameful and continued targeting of Omar. As Rachelle mentioned, Omar's first immigration court hearing is this Thursday, May 13th. We demand that ICE stop trying to strip him of his lawful refugee status and trying to deport him and stop trying to deport him to Iraq, a country where he faces certain torture and death. We really do hope that upon further reviewing his case, that ICE releases him and stops trying to strip him of his status and deport him. But if they don't, we will aggressively fight for Omar's life and for his safety and for his release and freedom in the immigration courts and in federal courts. So please, everyone, visit freeomarameen.com. There's calls to action. Please call ICE to demand his release. Please call your elected officials to demand his release. The community has come together behind Omar, and the pressure cannot stop. The pressure must continue now more than ever. Thank you.
My name is Basim Elkarra, Executive Director of CAIR, Sacramento Valley, Central California. I'll be reading a statement by Omar Ameen and his wife. And I'll start with the one in Arabic, and then I'll read the translation. مضت 3 سنوات تقريبا منذ أن تم إيقاظي وأخذي فجأة من أحضان أسرتي. لم أتمكن حتى من توديع زوجتي وأولادي لأنني كنت متأكدا أن ذلك كان خطأ وأنني سأعود في نفس اليوم. بعد ذلك أمضيت 2 و8 أشهر في سجن ساكرامنتو بتهم أني بريء منها تماما. وجدني قاضي بريئا وأمر بالإفراج عني فورا، لكن شرطة الهجرة لم تسمح لي بالعودة إلى منزلي في اليوم الذي فزت فيه بالقضية في 21 إبريل سنة 2021 وهم يحتجزوا أنني في مكان بعيد الآن. ظننت أن وعائلتي أنني سأعود إلى المنزل في ذلك اليوم. أنا ممتن جدا للقاضي لاستماعه إلى جميع الأدلة، والحمد لله أنني في هذه البلد كان لي الحق في الدفاع عن نفسي، وأن يتم إيجادي بريئا. أحب أمريكا وأريد الاستمتاع بالعيش هنا بقية حياتي مع زوجتي وأولادي. يحزنني أنه لا يزال علي الكفاح من أجل حريتي مرة أخرى. وأرجوكم اسمحوا لي أن أعود إلى أسرتي الآن لاستمتع بهذه الأيام القليلة الأخيرة من شهر رمضان معهم، وأفطر معهم واستمتع بأول العيد لي مع أولادي منذ أكثر من عامين. عمر عبد الستار أمين. It's been almost 3 years since I was woken up and taken away suddenly from the arms of my family. I didn't even get to say goodbye to my wife and children because I was certain that it was a mistake and that I'll be back the same day. I then spent 2 years and 8 months at Sacramento jail on charges that I'm completely innocent of. The judge found me innocent and ordered me to be immediately released. But ICE didn't let me go home that day, the day I won the case, on April 21st, 2021. And they are detaining me in a faraway location. Both I and my family thought I get to go home that day. I'm so grateful to the judge for listening to all the evidence. And I thank God that in this country I had the right to defend myself and be found innocent. I love America and want to enjoy living here for the rest of my life with my wife and children. It saddens me that I still have to fight for my freedom again. Please let me go home to my family now so that I can enjoy these last few days of Ramadan with them, break my fast with them, enjoy my first Eid celebration with my children in over 2 years. Omar Abdul Sattar Ameen. This is a statement from his wife, Khansat Sabri. To whom it may concern, my name is Khansat Sabri and I am Omar Ameen's wife of 19 years. We have 4 children, ages 13 to 17. Omar was taken away from us suddenly nearly 3 years ago, and since then we have not been able to see him except through a weekly 1-hour visit to Sacramento jail through glass and using a phone. He was falsely accused and had nothing to do with the charges that were made up against him. We have lived in peace all our lives in Iraq until we had to seek refuge in Syria, then Turkey, then the US, where we lived happily and in peace as grateful refugees from 2014 until Omar's arrest on August 15, 2018. Since that day, my life has been turned upside down as I've had to become both a mother, a father to a teenage young man, 2 middle children, and a baby toddler. Omar used to be the one to take care of everything, but for years now, I've had to take full responsibility. We were almost evicted from our apartment for no reason, but kind people intervened and allowed us to stay in the same apartment complex. We lived under constant threat of Omar being sent back at any time to Iraq to face torture and execution. It was the happiest day of my life when the children and I learned on April 21st, 2021 that Omar had finally won the extradition case and the judge had found him completely innocent and ordered his immediate release. I could not believe it. The children and I rushed down to Sacramento jail that day hoping to finally hug him and take him home to enjoy the last days of Ramadan and have our first meal together in nearly 3 years. But just like we never got a chance to say goodbye to him when he was arrested in 2018, we never got a chance to see him before he was taken away by ICE that day to a remote prison. The best day of our lives turned into one of the worst as we had to drive back home without Omar. We still do not understand why this injustice is continuing. Every day the kids and I hope he will finally be released and return home and break his fast with us over a normal family meal once again. But over 2 weeks have gone by now and he's still a prisoner. Please end our agony and all of the injustices of the past 3 years. Please dismiss this case, or at least let Omar out on bail today. There is no way the past 3 years can ever be brought back. His children, especially baby Judy, have all grown up so fast without their dad, almost like they have been orphaned all these years. I miss Omar very much. Omar's children miss him so much, and he misses all of us, his family and his friends. Please end our suffering. It's in your hands to do so. Thank you very much. Hansah Sabri, Omar Ameen's wife.
Good morning, my name is Katie Valenzuela. I'm the City Council member for District 4 here in the city of Sacramento. My colleagues couldn't be here today, and so I'm proud to be here on behalf of the city to say that we are outraged. We are outraged that this has happened in our community. We are outraged that this has happened to our neighbor, to our community member, to someone we are proud to have living in our city and in our community. And we are heartbroken for his family and for what they have lost over these 1,000 days by not having Omar with them. So I was proud to work with the mayor on a letter that we submitted last week with our colleagues to the federal government demanding Omar's release and the dismissal of all charges. And we continue to stand ready to do whatever we can. This is not who we are as a country, and this is not who we are in Sacramento. And we are ready to stand with Omar and his family and demand justice in this really horrible case of injustice in our city. Thank you.
My name is Riordan. I'm a senior staff attorney at the ACLU of Northern California. The allegations against Omar Ameen were implausible from the beginning. Now they've been proven to be completely baseless. Omar should be freed immediately. Omar's 1,000 days of imprisonment represent the worst excesses and outrages of current governmental policy. First, the Biden administration has promised deep-cutting immigration enforcement and criminal justice reform. Why then does the Biden administration combine the criminal justice and immigration enforcement systems to keep Omar Ameen in custody? Second, why are we seeing an ongoing lack of transparency in Omar's case? In his criminal case, the prosecution hid key exculpatory evidence from the defense. Today, the government has not provided a reason why it's continuing to hold him. And beyond that, organizations like the ACLU have been fighting for years in court to try to get documents about Mr. Ameen's charge and the policies that surrounded him. But the government has failed to provide even basic information about how it came to focus on investigating Mr. Ameen and what policies underlie that. We should be moving beyond the racism and xenophobia that marked the last 4 years of federal criminal justice and immigration enforcement. The strongest way the administration can show that it's doing that today would be to free Mr. Ameen immediately.
Good morning. My name is Ruth Ibarra. I'm here today representing NorCal and standing in solidarity with Omar Ameen. Omar's case highlights how retaliatory, racist, and prone to avoidable error our immigration system is. When a parent is torn away from their children, both parents and children face extreme mental and emotional stress. The families are also driven into poverty due to the financial burdens of having not only to pay for living expenses, but also legal fees and other costs associated with detention, which add only additional stress to the families that they're already experiencing. Furthermore, these families who have fled their homelands to find safety are being subjected to trauma by the country that was supposed to be a safe haven. So many of these families are fleeing from violence and economic devastation that is a direct result of U.S. foreign policy. The simple and right thing for us to do is protect and welcome refugees. It is our moral duty to do so. We are calling on the Biden administration today, not only to demand that Omar be freed from detention immediately and reunited with his family and community, but to demand that this ICE office and all the offices like it in the U.S. be shut down. We want to abolish ICE. We want these ICE officers to not have a job. We want the resources poured into this racist, abusive system to be redistributed into funding, education, housing, healthcare, and resources for our elders, children, and families. We are also calling on the Biden administration to end immigration detention in both public and private facilities. This Saturday, Sacramento community came together, if you look at the street over here, to say a clear message that there should be not one more family separation, no more kids in cages, no more folks seeking a better life being detained for fleeing violence and poverty created by U.S. foreign policy. There should be no more profiteering off of human suffering. All detention centers should be shut down immediately. This is a gross miscarriage of justice, and every day that it continues is a stain on the Biden administration. Abolish ICE, free Omar immediately. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Layli Shirani. I'm the senior staff attorney with CAIR Sacramento Valley. I'm standing here today beside my brother, my friend, and my former client, Hayat. 16 years ago, an office led by McGregor Scott, the same U.S. attorney who sent federal agents to Omar Ameen's home in August of 2018, arrested Hamid and accused him of being a terrorist. Hamid spent the next 14 years in prison until a federal judge ordered him to be released because he'd been proved to be innocent. What happened to Hamid, to his family, and to all American Muslims as a result of this wrongful prosecution should have been a cautionary tale. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. If anything, this government has become smarter and more vindictive in its relentless attack on American Muslims in this country. Why smarter? Because it's much easier to extradite someone than to try them. It's much easier to announce that you have arrested an ISIS commander and then just ship him back to Iraq, where he would face a trial lasting minutes and likely execution, than to try him here in federal court. Can there be any doubt that Omar's is a test case, a Trump-era Trojan horse, for a new strategy where the U.S. government works with puppet governments who have their own agendas to swiftly arrest, detain, and deport Muslims, tearing their lives and families apart in the process? Why vindictive? Because this government did not count on Rachelle and her team being able to pull off what they did, to defeat the exceedingly high standard for extradition in this country of obliterating probable cause. So what did they do when they lost? They did not accept defeat. They did not release him to go spend what remains of Ramadan with his family. No. They asked ICE to detain him. And now, with every additional day that Omar spends in federal custody, this horrible and cruel injustice becomes the property of the Biden administration. These prosecutions are the products of racism and Islamophobia, plain and simple. And it's critical for them to be seen that way from the start, and deeply scrutinized, and not just by the advocates, but by the press. Otherwise, we all risk complicity with the very systems that support and promote these unjust prosecutions. Thank you.
My name is Hayat. The innocent person who was wrongfully imprisoned for 14 years. I know just how painful I just know how painful and terrifying being torn from your family is. As I continue to recover from my trauma. Sorry. I find that it's not easy to stay silent for me. To see another person suffering a similar fate. Omar must be released immediately so he can be with his wife and family for Eid. He should not spend another day apart. Thank you very much.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. My name is Imam Yasir and I represent CAIR-SV Council of Sacramento Valley Islamic Organizations, which is an umbrella organization of mosques and Muslim organizations that exist in Sacramento Valley. We are in the month of Ramadan. Not only are we in the month of Ramadan, we are nearing the end of this holy, blessed month of Ramadan. This is a month of fasting, sacrifice, and for us to reconnect with our Lord. And this is also a month for us to spend with our families. As Muslims, every day of Ramadan, we look forward to going back to our homes, to break bread, to spend our evenings with our families. It is heartbreaking to know that even after being proven innocent, that our brother Omar is still being detained. On behalf of all mosques and Muslim organizations of Sacramento Valley, we are asking for his immediate release so that he can also celebrate the day of Eid on Thursday, just like so many Muslims will do throughout the world. I pray that God uses us to spread peace and He uses us for justice. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions for the attorneys? Any questions? Going once? Twice? All right, we want to thank the media for coming out. We do have a list of speakers if you need that. And we hope that Omar will be released in the next few days. We're going to keep up the pressure. We're going to keep up the campaign. Check out the website, the hashtag Free Omar Ameen. Thank you.